PACMAN is the sun, and our solar system are the little dots that PACMAN eats, because that is what's going to happen to our solar system. Game over, it says. When our sun expands, it's going to consume at least the internal planets with its expansion, right?
Right. So this is, again, depends upon how you think about the end of the world, because there are a lot of ways to think about it, including the fact that, for individuals, end of the world happens on an individual basis, but also from the Earth perspective, with climate change and with other things, there are also, if you think about humans being the last thing, then yeah, that may actually happen much sooner. However, you can also think about end of the Earth or end of the world, meaning when the Earth gets eventually swallowed up by the sun.
Time for some more kitchen table astronomy with Amherst astronomer, Mr. Universe, the head of Kainaat Studios, 5 college astronomer, Dr. Salman Hameed. A reminder for members of NEPM that this Wednesday evening at Birch Vineyard, we will be stargazing, weather permitting. It could be a little bit cloudy. It is a new moon. If it's too cloudy, we can't use a ground-based telescope to look at anything, but we will still have a fun time talking about astronomy. And the event, while free to members, is quote-unquote sold out. So if this is the kind of thing you'd like to do in the future, I'll say inquire at nepm.org about becoming a member, and you'll get invited to the next one of these fun things that we're going to do.
And I would say, we'll have fun no matter what. Just bring your questions, astronomy questions that you've been meaning to ask, and we'll try to answer. We'll come up with something.
By will, meaning you'll. And I'll make jokes about the answers. But over the years, I'm kind of an amateur astronomer. I know a little bit of my stuff. And it'll be fun to talk about aliens if people want to come do that. Again, like I mentioned, don't come to my house and try to talk to my wife about aliens when I'm not there. Come to Birch Vineyard and talk to us about aliens. But you, Salman, are wearing a PACMAN shirt with our... Did they put all 9 planets on there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, Pluto's already gone. PACMAN is the sun, and our solar system are the little dots that PACMAN eats, because that is what's going to happen to our solar system. Game over, it says. When our sun expands, it's going to consume at least the internal planets with its expansion, right?
Right. So this is, again, depends upon how you think about the end of the world, because there are a lot of ways to think about it, including the fact that, for individuals, end of the world happens on an individual basis, but also from the Earth perspective, with climate change and with other things, there are also, if you think about humans being the last thing, then yeah, that may actually happen much sooner. However, you can also think about end of the Earth or end of the world, meaning when the Earth gets eventually swallowed up by the sun, right? And again, I should remind you, we have a few billion years for that, because sun will eventually expand and it will swallow the Earth, possibly. Because Venus, Mercury and Venus definitely, and Earth possibly. But again, there won't be any life way before that.
So we'll be so close to the sun at that point that it would change everything.
And also fluctuations in the sunlight. I mean, you have, right now, sun is in a stable phase, but little variations can actually impact us. But imagine when there are full stage, sort of scale variations going on. So that is, we know that kind of planetary cannibalism, if you want to say it, that happens, right?
Well, the sun isn't a planet, so it's not cannibalism.
Well,
it's just good old-fashioned eating.
Well, that's
the
right.
sun is a star, the planets are its food, just like PAC-Man and the little dots.
However, there is recently an interesting study that got published, observations of it, and there is a star system called TOI 5882. And classy. It is 1,300 light years away. So again, relatively far away if you want to think about it in terms of stars. The nearest star to us is 4 light years away. But if you think about the scale of the galaxy, it's actually relatively close. And we know that it's a little bit bigger than our sun, about 30% bigger than our sun. And there is a suspicion that this nice star, a little bit like our sun, a little bit bigger, ate a planet.
Uh-oh.
And so that's the observation. And what makes this particular star system interesting is because it has in its orbit something called a brown dwarf. And so those are kind of like a failed star. So this particular one is about 20 times bigger than Jupiter. So Jupiter, if it was a little bit bigger, we would have called it a brown dwarf, which is not really a star. And again, you would say, Monty, well, what's the definition of a star? Well, the definition of a star for astronomers is, at its core, the energy source is due to nuclear fusion of hydrogen into helium. And in order to do that, you have to have a certain mass. If you don't get to that level, you don't get hydrogen fusion, and astronomers on Earth called you a failed star.
Oh, it's like Kid Rock.
That's all.
But Jupiter could have been a star, and is now like we consider it a gas giant. So it's it's leaning towards star-like things in its history, but never got to that fusion part.
And it didn't even got to the brown dwarf part, which is a little bit bigger, and it has a little bit of a different type of fusion, but nevertheless. So in this particular star system, it was already a little weird because around this star, you have this brown dwarf orbiting, which is fine, but it's very close. It takes only about a week to orbit. Okay, so all of these things there, it's a little bit interesting. So astronomers had been observing it. It's an interesting system, but they found an anomaly in it in a certain way when they looked at its sort of like, spectrum, or its light in some sense. And what they found was that the star had a lot of lithium in it. And this was surprising because usually stars like this, sun-like stars or a little bigger, they actually don't have a lot of lithium in it by itself. But planets do. And so what astronomers have, or they think what has happened, is that there was a planet that was close by, and it got swallowed up. And that probably, to me, the surprising stuff about this study is that they think that this planet got swallowed up actually maybe 1 billion or 2 billion years ago.
Wow.
But the signature, and so that lithium, which was part of that planet, enriches the star, and it becomes a signature of how we can tell if a star ate a planet or not. So this is like sort of like Columbo or Murder, She Wrote. Oh, you did that a long time ago. Oh, but wait one more question. Where did that lithium come from? And so that is from that planet.
I think that lithium has been effective in a lot of different people's lives as well. So this star is going to be super chilled out now that it's eaten a planet's worth of lithium.
That is correct. But here is this other puzzle. But this star, usually, and the story that but the fate of the Earth we talked about was linked with the expansion of the sun into a red giant and then eating its planet. The problem with this particular star is that it's actually in its midlife.
Uh-oh.
It is not a red giant.
But it will be someday.
Well, it will be someday. But the question is, wait a minute. How did the planet then, in a stable phase, got absorbed by its star?
Again, 1 billion or so years ago, so we can't observe that. It's 1,300 light years away. We can see what happened. When we look at it now, it's telling us what happened 1,300 years ago there. And the evidence now is that it ate a star 1 billion years ago. Ate a planet 1 billion years ago that had some lithium in it.
And so the primary suspect was the star. And it turns out, well, who else is there in the system, Monty?
Is it another star?
The brown dwarf.
All right.
It was close by, and astronomers think that otherwise it would not have lost its, or sort of like, its orbit to be swallowed up into the sun, or collision course into the sun, if you want to say it, or into its star. But it was this other brown dwarf, which is which is bigger, but it may have disrupted the orbit of that planet and sent it hurling into the star.
This is the three-body problem. Right?
Well, yes, that is correct.
There's two things it wants to orbit between. It destabilizes the orbit, gets spun off, and now a sun eats it full of its planet's worth of lithium.
Well, except that in this particular, because the star's gravity is a lot more. So the brown dwarf and the other planet would be orbiting a little bit more like the planetary system.
Right.
But nevertheless, the brown dwarf actually, they think it sent this planet hurtling in, and we would never have known about it except the trace of lithium. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of a cool thing, and again, sort of like, we would have said like, well, but bad people deserve, like, whoever did that should deserve some punishment. And unlike the real world, in this particular case, the brown dwarf has it coming too. Because it is actually orbiting pretty close to the star. And astronomers estimate that it is also going to be sort of like, spiral into the star. And the estimates are potentially in 25 to 30 million years. And so the brown dwarf, it's also going to meet the planet that it hurled into that star, and then they will duke it out inside.
I wonder of Snow White's dwarfs, which one the brown dwarf would be. Sleepy, happy, grumpy, dopey, sneezy, bashful, doc. I'm going because the brown dwarf sent a planet into a star, that this brown dwarf is grumpy.
Yeah, but like, although I would say sort of like, as a South Asian, like, it was probably from South Asia.
Could be happy. Maybe its solar system is a little more peaceful now that it sent this planet into its sun.
Yeah, but I just wanted to contextualize. I mean, so this is actually, to me, the interesting thing is that we can actually trace these type of things happening in other star systems. And our future in this solar system is different than, for example, in other types of star systems. So this is the reason why we want to study. Sometimes people say, well, what if it's not like ours? Who cares? Well, because the differences also tell us a lot about us. And so in this particular case, this is not the fate for our solar system. Solar system doesn't have a star like a planet brown dwarf, for example, nor this planet. In fact, astronomers can also estimate the size of that planet, and that planet, they think that it was sort of like a super Earth, meaning to say a few times bigger than the Earth, or a Neptune-sized planet.
So it's not an exact analogy to what will happen, but it's something we can learn about in a similar star system 1,300 light years away. These are the kind of questions that we want you to be thinking about. For those of you who come visit us at Black Birch Vineyard on Wednesday evening, the new moon, we're going to do a stargazing event with Mr. Universe and other NEPM members. We'll have some telescopes from UMass, as well as from Black Birch Vineyard, where they make their own telescopes. One of the folks that's working at Black Birch Vineyard, so hopefully it'll be clear enough for us to look at the stars. And if not, we'll still try to have a great conversation about all of your astronomy-related questions.
We'd love to see you there.